Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi, welcome to Elonomics. India has announced an exit strategy from the coronavirus lockdown. Starting Monday, that's April 20th, there will be a phased withdrawal of restrictions and resumption of economic activity. What is the strategy behind this phased withdrawal and what will work and how should India go about this? Professor Ela Patnaik will tell us. She's written a very detailed analysis of this exit strategy and some very strong, good insights about this. Ela, hi. Welcome. Good to have you back in the studio. You are talking about demographics and how this withdrawal plan depends on demographics. Can you explain that to our viewers?
See, what we've seen from other countries is that it is the elderly which need the most critical care. So the strategy that seems to be evolving and for which there is a very good basis is that if we can isolate the elderly, if we keep them at home, if the Prime Minister said that do 7 things and one of the first of those was protect the elderly. The government also issued a advisory to senior citizens saying that it is the elderly who need to be protected most. Now let's look at there's very good logic behind this, and the logic behind this is that the young don't need so much critical care. You see, it is not as if by locking down the disease will not come back. The virus will be hidden in many places, and as soon as the lockdown is over, it can start emerging again. So what we need, and what epidemiologists are saying, is that what we need is generally to get the population resistant, immune to the virus. Now, we don't have a vaccine. A vaccine takes very long. It may be 12 months, maybe 18 months. We don't even know how long a vaccine might take. So people have talked about this concept of herd immunity, which, when the UK adopted herd immunity as its strategy, they found that they were suddenly completely overwhelmed by patients needing critical care. Now, UK's old population is roughly about 23-24%, and there's no precise number. As you get older, it gets worse. So starting 65, 55, 60, 65. We can talk about which the cutoff is, but they had nearly a fourth of the population being very vulnerable. So the healthcare system got completely inundated and they could not handle it, and they moved away from that strategy. Now, that strategy is basically that for people who are young, you don't see so much need for critical care. So if those people get the virus, they get immune to it, and they also don't need critical care, then sooner or later, a very large share of our population, in our case, nearly 87% or so is young, is below 60, that can no longer be the carrier for the virus. That becomes immune, so the virus cannot jump from one person to the next person. And if the population has actually seen the large mass of, we don't know the cutoff, there are often thresholds like 60, 70, but we're saying that if we see a very large mass of the population become resistant, become immune, and they don't become carriers, then even the elderly would be saved, because then the virus won't be around, because it won't have found hosts who would carry it from one person to the other. Now, where India is better off compared to any other country in the world is because we have the largest share of the young in our population. So our share of young, as I said, below 60 is, there are only about 8.5% of the population is above 65. If you look at this, then also there are a large number of districts of the country which actually don't have even 12 to 15% old people. So what you can do is you let the young go to work, whereas you keep the elderly at home. And my sense is that is the strategy towards which we might move. So currently we are trying to contain the virus. We are talking about cases, but it is very, very hard to do contact tracing here. And also we cannot afford to keep the economy shut for very long, because we'll go from losing lives from corona to losing lives from loss of income. We can't afford to keep it shut for very long. But what we can absolutely afford to do, and maybe is in our best interest, is to let the young go out to work. The critical, we've ramped up our hospital capacity. It's not that we haven't. We continue to ramp it up, and we make sure that we have the ability to test them, to take care of them, so that when they are exposed to the virus, there is hospital care available for whoever does become critical, but a very small proportion of those would become critical.
You've done some interesting mapping in your column this time, Ila, where you've taken the number of districts where the share of the population is above 60 and below 60, and you've compared that with the districts where there are what they call them as red zones or red hot districts or hotspots, and then districts with no coronavirus cases. So, I mean, to just quote your numbers, you have 58 districts in India where the share of the population above 60 is less than 10%.
Right.
Then there are 275 districts where the share of elderly or people above 60 years of age is 12.5%. And then there are another 529 districts where that number is below 15%. So, and these are all numbers from the census of 2011. So, explain this, mapping you've tried to do.
So, what I've tried to do is to say that, look, we are opening sectorally. The next thing we could do is also open regionally. There are regions, there are districts, as this is saying, where 90% of the population is young. Okay, and is less susceptible.
So, I mean, below 60 is young, okay.
According to the data that we are finding for COVID, for corona, that it is those with comorbidities and those above 60. We could even take 55. I mean, then also it's a very small proportion that's, that will be added to this. But this is to kind of lay down the principle that what can be done. Now, among these districts, let's take the 29 districts where
85% is young.
85% is young. In those districts, there are many which have no cases at all. Now think about this, the entire district is stuck at home, not working, not going out. They are young, they may be asymptomatic. If the virus does strike them, they may be asymptomatic, or they may have very mild fever and very mild cough. That's the most likely case. In almost 99% cases, that's what's likely to happen. There are old people who can be protected because there are very few of them. And in these districts, if there are no cases, can we not open those up? So those could be actually, the 58 districts could be opened up tomorrow, where there are very, very few old people and there are no cases. So you can cut off the district boundaries. So from there, I go on to saying, okay, 15%. So, China, Italy, UK, these countries had about a fifth to a fourth of the population being old. Whereas we are fortunate enough that it is the young who dominate the bulk of the country. So I've kind of tried to make a map of those districts. And, when you see my map, you will see that this is based on 2011 census data, when the number of districts was actually less than today. So there are some NAs there. But basically, you will find that one can identify those districts where the share of the population is primarily young. One can protect the old there, and maybe not allow them to come to work. Ask people with comorbidities to stay at home and not come to work, whereas the young can actually go out to work. And in fact, they'll be serving a very useful role, because then they'll be, once they get immune to the virus, they can prevent the virus from spreading. So the elderly get protected as well.
And then you made a very interesting correlation between the migrant workers who've been quarantined and not coming up with symptoms or testing positive. So that is another supporting factor
For this strategy. Yeah. So if you look at the conditions under which migrant workers are quarantined, they're very close to each other. There is no social distancing there. Many people are stopping at saying, oh, look at their conditions. There is no social distancing there. I'm saying that, yes, true, but most probably, most likely, they've had some exposure to COVID. If they have had some exposure to the virus, then perhaps they're already immune. We can test that actually, because you can do a pooled test, you can do some antibody tests, and you can check that out. But otherwise, these are the people who can go back to work. They are young. Few of them have comorbidities, because otherwise they won't be out there working. So this is our strength actually.
But there is a section which questions this strategy by saying, in India, the young and the old live together. So if the young go out to work and come back, and they live with their parents, grandparents, relatives who are older and above 60, is there no risk of the infection getting transmitted?
So there is risk. Of course, there is risk. And maybe we should make it voluntary. If you're living with your old parents, you should not come to work. But if you are not living with old parents, then, a young family, and you look at the kind of migration that has happened in the last decade or so. So this is 2011 data. It does not capture
the last 10 years.
Yeah, the last 10 years. But if you look at the migration that has happened, nuclear families move away. The old stay back where they are. It might be that they are still in their village. And in fact, in rural areas, the share of those above 60 is lower. Second, you might be a middle class family, because it is middle class families who are able to afford this much more. If you think of a poor urban family, then again in the poor urban population, the ratio of above 60 is lower. Life expectancy is lower. It is the better off with more health facilities who are able to bring their parents to live with them in cities. So, there might be these factors that are at work, and we can make it voluntary. Of course, we don't want you to put elderly at risk. So a strategy can be worked out, but it's really, the point is that you can work out a strategy in maybe at least 500 districts of the country, many of which are in the green zones that the government has declared, where there are no cases, where the bulk of the population is young, and so the elderly have not been affected. We have ramped up hospital and critical care capacity, and so we can start opening up the economy in those areas. We can start allowing the young out to go to markets. You need consumers, you need retail trade, you need consumers for a large number of small businesses. The workmen who are employed can be actually allowed to start working.
So your thrust is on the young people of India, and you believe they can be trusted to maintain this distance, and there is awareness. So there is hope for this kind of a strategy to work.
So I think the lockdown played two important roles. One was it was a breather. It gave us time to ramp up hospital capacity. But the other, which is I think what you're indicating towards, is the fact that people became aware. Now you see people with masks, even where it's not compulsory, you'll see them wearing masks and following a lot of the instructions. In fact, sometimes people may argue that there's panic. People might be, being too cautious at times, because they are paranoid, because they are scared. But what it has done is educate people. So again, contrast that with the UK. When they thought of herd immunity, they were not telling people what to do as much as we are telling people now, and people are aware now. It's not just about telling, but as much as people are aware here. And at the end of the day, if no policeman can check if you're washing your hands at home. This has to be your own behavior and what you do with it.
As Chief Economic Advisor Krishnamurthy Subramanian was saying, there is an element of nudge in this. Like Swachh Bharat, people are also now getting more and more aware about washing their hands and sanitizing and keeping distance. So hopefully this awareness and the fact that the Indian young population is our strength will help India slowly unlock its economy and resume economic activity so that people can go back to earning their livelihoods, at the same time containing the coronavirus from getting transmitted to the elderly population. Thanks for watching this episode of Economics. We will come back with a new one next week, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Print YouTube channel. Thank you.